Hello and welcome back to the Schooner Pod, welcome back to the Weekend Spread, the Schooner Pod's weekly college football pick'em podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Howard, and with me today, we've got Jameson Maxwell, Ty Lee, and the captain himself, Boaton Blake. And boys, we've really entered the meat of November. Really interesting race, college football playoff race we've got going on here. And
Bobby
some
never
crucial
went
games.
live.
What?
Oh
no. Oh no. We were live on Instagram.
It could be worse. It could be worse.
At least no one can see it. I didn't like that. I didn't like that intro. We're live on Instagram though. So Instagram is able to see this part. What up, Instagram? All right, let's
we're
do
gonna
this
do
right.
it again.
Yeah, we're doing this again. Sorry, Instagram.
We
Apologies.
can go live on Instagram.
Yeah, that's if you see the little vertical.
Have 500 followers to do that.
No. We could go live.
This is not a
now.
bit. This is not a bit. I legitimately thought that was capped by followers.
No, for real, it's real. All right, so let's hit it. Let's hit it. Hello and welcome back to the Weekend Spread, the Schooner Pod's weekly college football pick'em podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Howard. With me today, we've got Jameson Maxwell, Ty Lee, and the captain himself, Boaton Blake. Boys, we are entering into some really crucial weeks here of college football. We're deep into November now, and we've got another massive slate here to determine the college football playoff, conference championships, all sorts of great stuff. How are we feeling as we near the conclusion of the college football season, Blake?
Look, these conference races, I think besides maybe the Big Ten, absolutely wild at this point. After last week where it seemed like every contender in the ACC goes down, the Big 12 seems like it's kind of tech is going to be there. It just depends on whether BYU can finish the season or not. But the SEC is going down to the wire. The ACC is going to probably rewrite the rules on the college football playoff of should teams get automatic conference bids, because I imagine some sort of stinky team like Duke right now who's tied for first, even though they have 4 losses.
They just lost to UConn last week.
4. Yep, and lost to UConn outright. Like, they have 3 out-of-conference losses, but are yet still in their title race. It could easily end up in Charlotte. So, I will say, it's like, at the playoff, it frustrates me at times. At least these mega conferences are just having these wild results of who could actually make the finals for these conference races. So, that is what I have my eyes on right now.
Yeah, I want you to know, Blake, that in this kind of same vein, on our Schooner Pod this week, where it was just Bobby and I, he tried to lay out a scenario where Michigan would get to the Big Ten championship to talk about possible CFP scenarios. So let's just play that out. Like, anything can happen, but not that.
Yeah, that's the thing is people keep on attacking. I've seen a few people do this. They attack it from the Big Ten angle. The Big Ten, although there's still people in play, it's locked up. We know who the 2 teams are going to be there. We know which ones it's going to be. It's the ACC, the Big 12, and the SEC could just have some pretty wild results of who ends up. Like, what happens if Texas A&M doesn't make the SEC championship? Isn't that still in play technically?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
honestly, with a win versus South Carolina, a loss versus Texas, it could create a tiebreaker scenario where they don't even make it in.
Yeah, I mean, it's madness, and frankly, the conferences are just too big, and
way too big.
Way too big. It's making competition weird. Texas A&M is going to finish their SEC season not having played Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss. Who am I missing here? Tennessee, Oklahoma. Vandy.
Yeah, their hard game at LSU ended up being not a hard game. So
and at Texas, but like outside of that, like
that's they're gonna get that every year. But like the at LSU is just a shame.
Yeah. Which it should be said gives Texas A&M about a 15 to 16 times harder schedule than Indiana faced. But
well, no, Indiana at least had to go to
Oregon.
go to Oregon.
they had to go play in front of 10,000 people.
Dude,
Wow,
I
you're
love your
hating on your
Duckies. Why
Duckies?
are you turning on your Duckies?
What are you trying? Oregon is what? Oregon
I
packs the
love Oregon.
house.
I love Oregon. It is not a tough place to play.
That is one of the worst.
That is-
What are you talking?
Here's what it is. Here's what it
Austin
is.
Stadium
Bobby.
is infamously tough.
Ty has these hater bits that he has to form some
That's not a
narrative, and then
hater
therefore
bit.
he's going to throw Oregon
No.
under the bus to propel,
No.
Indiana down into the dumps.
I
Or-
love
or-
Oregon. I love Oregon. Oregon is not a tough place to play.
That is the most-
If you go
What?
look at the actual records, they've been farming against like nobody, or they have like egregious like 2006 Oklahoma.
I mean,
It's
I think there's a difference though between your record at home versus how loud or how intense an environment is. Like, for example,
It's like
Ala-
Bryant Denny. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Bryant Denny.
like Alabama, very hard to win there because
Yeah.
they're really good. They've only lost 6 times since 2008, but it doesn't hold a candle to Neyland Stadium, from what I've heard. I'm gonna get to see this firsthand this weekend to see whether or not that's true. Like probably one of the most direct comparisons anyone's ever really had. But from what I've heard, environment wise, you have to separate the environment from the record. You know what I mean?
yeah, okay, but you're listing places that are tough to play. Both of the places that you listed seat legitimately twice as many people as Oregon does.
And that's what's insane about Oregon is it's so loud and so difficult to
No,
play in,
that's
even with its
that's
size
humidity.
and
we're gonna
its
get the sound
construction.
waves here.
No, it's the
It's-
construct. No, this is
It
this
is
is
partially the
we
construction.
we can't be-
Humidity causes sound to travel faster or to be amplified.
dude. Okay, no,
This
we
is a
need to
real
we
thing.
need to move on.
No,
we need
this
to
is-
move on.
Okay, I'm gonna pull it up now. This is a real thing.
But no, I mean
this
everyone.
is the same guy who brought up Bernoulli's Law on a podcast about
Which
a month
is-
ago.
which is- That's how planes.
I know
fly.
what
Thank you very much.
Bernoulli's Law is, Ty. Trust
It's a
me.
principle.
All right, all
I
right.
hated it.
All right, we've got to move on here because that's just an incorrect take on that matter. But
We got
That
an
is-
Oregon
what do you-
fan
it's
in the
incorrect.
comments,
The-
Ty. They found
It
you.
is. It's incorrect
Yeah.
that 110 is twice as much as 54. I'm sorry. That's just mathematically true.
yeah, Boone Pickens Stadium is tiny, but it's loud too. It's just I don't know.
Okay, I don't want to bring
I-
up the sleeper agent allegations, but how did hyping up Oklahoma State occur here?
Because it's sneaky, it's small but mighty. There are some stadiums that are small but mighty in terms of how loud they get. Oklahoma State's one of them. Autzen it's not necessarily small, but even though it's not this massive, hulking stadium, it doesn't mean that makes it like less loud. The Big House isn't relatively loud, because architecturally
Big
it's
House is
built
awesome.
to like have the audio just go out of there. So anyways, let's dive into the slate here. Let's look at our standings here. We've got Bowden Blake in the lead here at 63-51, 5-5 last week. We were literally having a mid off. Blake went 5-5. Jameson fell to second with a 4-6 record. Me and Ty tied for last at 56 and 59, 5-5 as well. So nobody was able to get really a massive advantage. Nobody really fell off a cliff. It was all balanced. So, yeah. But look, let's dive into the slate this week. It's another good one, another good week of college football. So let's begin with a team that we just can't seem to get enough of. The South Florida Bulls, 24th in the country, 7-2 overall. I never got against the spread records fixed here, so ignore that. They're 7-2 overall, heading to take on the Navy Midshipmen, 7-2. USF favored by 9.5. You can find this one at 11 a.m. Central on ESPN2. Blake, as you are the leader in the clubhouse, you kick us off here. Who do you like?
Yeah, so Jameson put me on
Mhm.
that last week with that 13.5, just easiest money of the week. And we've been picking South Florida in against some good opponents, I think, this year overall. And I just don't think Navy's of that caliber. I'm not making the mistake here. I am going with Byron Bum and USF. The one thing they do
Nope.
well is route bad teams. They route bad teams. They did it last week against UTSA. We knew it. It was all Jameson capitalized on it, but we all knew they were going to route him. And I'm thankful for that. Made some easy coin right there. But yeah, I'm not being an idiot here. This is a trap. This is a trap.
So, if you're going to pick South Florida, do not call him Byron Bum. Correct yourself right now, or else we will not be accepting this on the weekend spreadsheet.
Is that how I'm going to lose this year? Is like we end up tying, but I have one not accepted pick. My numbers.
Come on, give him a little bit of love.
They hit you with the old. They misspelled your name on the charge sheet, so you got away with the crime.
They
This dude
won
is
they won a
killer.
game
Come
against
on,
a bad
say it.
team. They have decent talent on their team to beat up on these lowly American foes. Like I'm not gonna glaze them on here
They
for
beat
minutes
Florida.
on end just because Florida's bad, Bobby. Florida is so bad they lost to Kentucky last week.
Still beat Florida.
DJ Lagway got benched.
That's a lot coming from the man who for years convinced us that Florida is one Anthony Richardson game away from being a title contender.
This year was DJ Lagway, and he's gonna go like top 10 in the NFL draft.
Yeah, he's got a whole year
Start
to
my
correct
hope
things.
cycle.
You got to believe in him. He's still a true sophomore. But
Amen.
with
That's why I
South
still
Florida,
believe. Anthony Richardson still believe.
oh god, yeah. I hope the Dallas Cowboys trade for him, just like they did with Trey Lance.
Yeah.
I'd rather have AR-15 than Dak any day. But
Here's the thing. This is the easiest pick of the week. Navy is unbelievably overrated. This defense is pitiful, and going against South Florida's offense is just going to be another 50-point, 50-point game for South Florida. I don't think Navy can keep up with that. Give me South Florida to cover it, 9.5.
Yeah, I'm riding with USF here. They've been really, really good overall. And Navy, I think they kind of showed themselves a little bit last week. I mean, granted, it is a very, very good Notre Dame team, but they just aren't quite on that level. I think South Florida, can compete with some decent teams in college football. So give me the Bulls.
They hit their over on the season last week. Let's go.
Count it.
count it down there.
You're up, Ty.
Okay. I was not sure if it was my turn or not. I will say I will be taking the midshipman. I'll be going on an island for the midshipman here, and I want to use the rest of my time to say I'm extremely confused as to what the center of the USF logo is, because it should be a little silhouette of the state of Florida if that were up to me, but it appears to be like a screwdriver or something in the middle of their I don't know what that shape is, and I don't like it.
I'm telling you, this is the same vibes. I feel like Ty every once in a while will go on a uniform or a logo raid. It's like our resident girlfriend wife of the pod of I don't like that logo. I'm going Navy.
I mean, I was going Navy either way, but they have a tremendous opportunity to make that little cinder green field the silhouette of Florida, and they have not.
And if you want to talk about wonkiness, that the Navy logo can be a little wonky at times, just with the star. But I do kind of get it. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird logo matchup we have going on this specific one. I am stalling a little bit because we have the 9th ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish. 5-3 overall, 6-2 against what they're not against the spread. I'm trying to fix those. They're heading to Pitt to take on the Panthers, ranked 22nd in the country, 6-2 overall. Notre Dame, a 12.5 point favorite. You can find this one 11 a.m. Central on ABC. Ty, who do you like?
I would like to say give me the Fighting Irish in this one, but personally, I think that is a terrible stereotype, and to me, they are just the Irish, and they are, they're poorly represented in the media by being depicted as inherently violent when they are the peaceful Irish. So go ahead and give me Notre Dame.
Okay, well there you go. So
I like that one. Okay.
I look, every OU fan really, really needs Notre Dame to drop one here, and this is a great opportunity for them going into the stadium, the old Heinz Field, that used to have ketchup bottles over it. You might get a little bit of pit magic, but I just don't feel it. When you have Pat Narduzzi, coming on his press conference and it literally just saying, "Yeah, we don't care about this one. It's on the ACC. We could lose. I think it was 120-0, and I don't care." That gives me horrible vibes. That gives me horrible vibes here. I think Notre Dame covers this spread on the road. I hope to be wrong, but I feel like this game has happened a billion times where I really, really want a team to win, especially a home dog in a tasty environment like this, tasty situation. And I just get egg on my face here. So we're going to go Notre Dame on the road, the better team to beat Pitt. No Pitt magic, no Pitt super weapon this time.
Yeah. 2-loss Notre Dame is a scary Notre Dame. I think that this team is playing really damn good football. Like the way that they've rebounded from their losses earlier in the season, it's just like every game I turn on, I just see it like pure and utter dominance. But now on the other side of this, I really like the quarterback for Pitt, Heinschel, the true freshman. That's like a big reason I won one of my past wild cards, because I saw whenever they switched over to him and the way that he played against Florida State, I was like, this guy's got it. This guy's been thrown for 300 plus yards. He can run. He's got legs. He can make things a little bit dicey. It could be a total situation where we could backdoor here. When it comes down to it, screw it. I'm going to go Pitt. I like Heinschel too much. I think they can make it a little bit dirty.
I do like where Jameson's head's at, because this guy, he's going to be one of them ones over the next few years. Like, he just seems to get it, has Pitt rolling, even though I don't think this Pitt team is necessarily that talented. But the Notre Dame, I just feel like at this point is inevitable. Everybody wants them to lose. Everybody has gripes, granted good gripes, about why they are so high in the playoff when it seems like everybody behind them has a better resume than them, just because they've really played. This is their first substantial game since that A&M won at home. And I think because people are trying to like wish cast Pitt a little too much in the spot, I just feel like Notre Dame rolls. I've been very impressed with what this Notre Dame offense has been doing, granted against bad teams, but they are just moving the ball like no other. It just seems like opponents aren't even in the same realm as them, granted bad opponents, but the moment you try to start hoping Notre Dame's going to lose and get themselves out of the race, they stick themselves in there, stay in there, and they're probably going to make the playoffs, sadly. So give me Notre Dame minus the 12.5.
All right, so Jameson is on Pitt Island. Interesting place to be, to say the least. All right, let's move on to our next game. We've got a big one in the Big Ten. The 21st ranked Iowa Hawkeyes, 6-3 overall, 7-2 against the spread, heading to the Coliseum to take on the USC Trojans, ranked 17th in the country, 7-2, 5-4 against the spread. USC favored by 6.5. You can find this one 2:30 p.m. Central on Big Ten Network. The Big Ten finally gets a good ranked matchup, and they throw it on Big Ten Network. Which,
especially in these trying times where ESPN is not on one of the most popular services out there. Why are you hiding it?
Yeah. The CBS Big 12 would never do this.
The CBS
all
game,
over that CW primetime slot.
The CBS game, I believe, is like a 3-win Michigan State versus a 3-win Penn State.
Oh,
so
Jesus.
How do you not flex that? It's awful. It's awful. Blake, who do you like in this game?
I think this is just highlighting the problem with the Big Ten is decisions are made by these giant fan bases that seem to not win. It's just nothing's based around the actual games. Nothing's scheduled to create an interesting conference or opponents with one another. It's just these dry, bland, big matchups that are big because there's a lot of fans watching, not a lot of good football play. I'm going to go here, USC minus the 6.5. I think, was I on an island last week with Iowa? Was I on an island?
No, I had Iowa.
Okay, good. because the feisty almost won that one, almost knocked Oregon out of the playoff race. But the thing I do know about Iowa is I'm still just not worried about their offense exploiting anybody. USC's offense is mid, but USC's offense is so fantastic. I don't think Iowa's offense versus USC's defense provides any sort of push one way or the other. USC's offense, I think, is way better than Iowa's defense. I'm still very impressed with what Lincoln Riley's doing. I think USC wins this. I think it wins it comfortably. So give me the 7.
Yeah, I think Iowa had a lot of help with that game being at home and then really dirty, rainy, sloppy.
Yep.
And so that's really going to cater a lot to their strengths. Going to USC in Southern Cal, I don't know if that's an Iowa strength right there. So I'm going to take that angle of it and say the algorithm's going to get a little bit confused about that and give us a little bit of extra juice for USC. And USC responded. I was a little bit worried about them, the way they played versus Nebraska in their offense. But then they went out and fetty-whopped Northwestern the next week. So let's see USC cover the spread here.
Yeah, I'm with y'all. USC in the Coliseum is just different. When you see them trip up, they're usually somewhere randomly in the Midwest, and they don't look as good. But when they're at home in the Coliseum, not like it's a crazy environment by any means, they just feel at home. You have that weird kind of cross-connection thing. And, Iowa to me, I think they're going to be a little outclassed here. Like the 6.5, good football number. Give me USC at home to cover 6.5.
Yeah, short and sweet for this one. Give me the Trojans, echoing Blake's talking points on the offense.
All right, moving on to our next game. We've got the Arizona Wildcats, 6-3 overall, heading to Cincinnati to take on the Bearcats, 7-2 overall. Cincy, a 6.5 point favorite. You can find this one 11 a.m. Central on Fox Sports 1. Ty, who do you like?
Stinky. I don't like either one. Give me the Bearcats -6.5 over the Wildcats.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you here. I think this is a pretty gross game. Maybe not totally gross. I think Cincinnati, they have their issues here and there, but overall, I think they're a better team than Arizona. Arizona let me down pretty bad last week. They were a little bit disappointing to me. So on the road in Nippert Stadium, give me Cincy.
Yeah, I thought Arizona covering the spread versus Kansas was one of those guaranteed winners. And we'd seen what Kansas has been at the end of the season in the past when we were starting to see the writing on the wall again. We're like, oh, Arizona's been kind of doing it this year. They've been a little bit consistent. That's a game for them to really knock out of the park. And they didn't. And it felt gross. And that's going to sit in my brain now. Cincinnati, yes, they look gross, but they have an excuse. Going to Utah was tough. Sorry, Blake. I think Cincinnati can rebound here and do just fine. I'm going to take Cincinnati as well.
Cincinnati goes basically as far as God, I am blanking on his name. How am I doing this? Sorsby, Brandon Sorsby. Yeah, how far Sorsby?
It could have been worse. I called him Trace McSorley that one time.
He kind of has been playing like him, like he's a run first quarterback. Like Cincinnati can only go as far as his legs can take him. It's not really necessarily been his arm this year. It's been him just being a gamer, squeaking out some runs, getting them in position to win at home. I was leaning towards Arizona, but I'm just a little bit scared off that Cincinnati has actually been playing pretty well at home this year. I think like Arizona is probably comparable to like a Baylor team or something like that, and Cincinnati handled that. So maybe Cincinnati is just not one of those teams that can handle some of the better competition of the Big 12, which is fine. It seems like they are the top of the mid teams, and I think that's enough here. I think Brandon Sorsby puts the team on his back. 7, I feel like, is pretty comfortable. I don't know. Arizona, every time I start to believe in them, they let me down. So I'd rather get burned by Cincy once more. They've already burned me once versus Utah this year.
All right, there you go. Let's move on to our next Big 12 game. We've got the TCU Horned Frogs, 6-3, heading to Provo to take on the BYU Cougars, ranked 12th in the country, 8-1 after a brutal loss to the Texas Tech Red Raiders last week in Lubbock. BYU favored by 4.5 here. This line has been slipping towards the Cougars here a little bit. You can find this one 9:15 p.m. Central on ESPN, a little Big 12 after dark. Blake, who do you like?
I know who I don't like, and that's TCU. I didn't want this game on the schedule. I want it to be done after that Iowa State game. I want it to be completely done with this team. Nothing's going to happen. I know that's the state of TCU athletics now is just straight apathy in all sports besides women's basketball and women's sand volleyball. That is about the only things we seem to care about these days. Actually, we're doing pretty good in women's soccer, so maybe we're just a women's sports school now. But yeah, there is no inspiring confidence from this Horned Frog squad that they can go into Provo, one of the toughest places to play in the Big 12, and cover a 4.5-point spread after BYU got absolutely embarrassed in Lubbock. There is no way. I'm going to bet so much money on this 4.5 line. It's going to be ridiculous. This is not even going to be close. Nothing has gotten better for TCU, and we finally reached the point last week where we're losing bad at home. We were losing bad on the road, at least before that. This is only going to get worse. This team is so much more disciplined than us. This team is so much more well coached than us. We should have comparable players, but still haven't seen anything from TCU's offensive line. Still haven't really seen much from Josh Huber. Granted, I don't think that's his fault. I think the play calling from Kendall Briles absolutely sucks. The game-winning play that to keep the game alive is another a slant across the middle. We run that every 3rd and 4. It's the most predictable playbook out there. TCU is going to get murdered. And at this point, I've reached the point with TCU football and TCU basketball where I'm secretly just rooting against them. I really need it to bottom out just so change can happen. The moment mediocrity starts, we're not going to do anything. So I really need this team to bottom out. I really need them to quit because I don't think I could stand another year with our offensive line coach, with our special teams coordinator, with Kendall Briles as our offensive coordinator. I'm not saying we fired Dykes yet. I kind of want him gone. We ain't getting a good coach in this cycle. So at least let's clear the other chairs before we go after Dykes. But give me BYU. I am so confident in the spread. I wish I could use my wild card on this one. I wish I could use my pot of greed on this one. I've never been more confident in a pick in my life. Like, we are going to get murdered.
Man, I would love to pick TCU after that. I would love to pick
I'm going to be
TCU
actually, I'm going to feel more anger than happiness if we somehow won this one. I'm going to feel so much more anger that we have not played up to our expectations, that we could go after our season's over into BYU and beat them. Like, that would enrage me. That would make me so mad because we've ended up getting a little bit lucky with our schedule, even though it's supposed to be one of the harder ones in the Big 12, and just like pissed away an entire season. I am so mad. So if we win, I'm honestly going to be more mad than I am happy.
Yeah, BYU has something to play for, and TCU after last week, I feel like that's going to be tough. I think that we use this a lot here on the weekend spread of, like, I know something that I have an opinion of one team, and they either play bad or play good versus another team, and therefore I'd form a new opinion. TCU letting Iowa State beat them last week, and watching Iowa State in their matchup versus Arizona State, I've completely lost respect for the Horned Frogs. I get the Josh Hoover hype, Blake, but this guy, he's fun and loud, but man, he has bad decision making. He's going to continue to put you guys in bad problems.
Yeah, he needs a better offensive line to make reads, which he just doesn't have, and he isn't good enough to just be able to like think on the fly, like make on the fly. He doesn't have that ability.
Yeah, he's great when everything's working for him, but if things don't go to plan, he just looks extremely, extremely vulnerable to mistakes. I think BYU can really put him in some bad situations here again and get out to a big lead early. So I think the Cougars handle this one.
Yeah, I really don't understand what the line's doing here, because this TCU team feels very dead in the water. They've looked worse away from home than they have at Almond G. Carter. So the fact that, this team that really just has been disappointing over and over and over again can go into Provo late night, BYU having a bounce back game after that Texas Tech, loss. All's not lost by any means. You can still win the Big 12, can still make the college football playoff. It makes no sense to me why this line is 4.5. Gives me a little bit of pause, but I don't trust TCU as far as I can throw them. which actually is probably a bad comparison because the horned frog isn't very heavy, and I feel like I could throw
That's
that.
something Ty could speak on. What do you think, Ty?
Ty, do you think you could throw a horned frog pretty far? Anyways,
how
BYU is
far
the
Bobby
play.
could throw a horned frog?
Yeah, how far? Over under him. So assuming Bobby's not scared of the horned frog.
Which I
because
would
could
be.
see Bobby, I could see Bobby being very scared.
Well, start spitting blood out of its eyes on me, you know?
See it as a sort of living pickle-like being, and that would confound him.
It'd be horrifying.
Over
Yeah,
under
so
15-yard throw.
I might like
Oh,
drop
15
it.
yards.
15. I think over. Those things
15.
are tiny, but
15 yards if I just, full confidence, just yeet it, maybe with like a little mitt on.
Let me see.
Oh yeah, I
What
could chuck a horned frog 20 yards.
What is the
Those things are
airspeed
small,
velocity
man.
in
I
unlimited
know,
horned
but
frog?
you got to bring in the aspect that I know Bobby's going to be extremely skittish.
I might drop it, and then it,
That's true.
there is a possibility of it being a zero, like a full zero, because the frog spits at me.
like
See-
most horned frogs are about the size of maybe a little bit bigger than a quarter. That's the funny thing about it. Like they are not that big.
See, that's the
Oh, yeah,
thing,
they're
though.
tiny.
I feel like if they were that small, no, they're not that small.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to throw it that
This is
far.
horned frog up to 1 pound. If it was that small, it would make it harder.
Because
Yeah.
I don't think I could think about it. Could you throw like a quarter? How far could you throw a quarter?
Oh,
Probably not as-
I could.
pretty-
No, you could get a quarter 15 yards easy.
Yeah, like a quarter 15 yards, but you can throw a football farther than you could throw a quarter.
That frog's going to flail out, and it's
Some
going to
people.
create some wind resistance. And it's
It's
going to
gonna
fall
start
out.
But also maybe the
It's gonna
horns
start like
going
tumbling
back
midair.
creates more of an aerodynamic cone.
So
that is
wait, no,
also
no.
going to
I would have to
score.
release the horned frog at the perfect like era or area where it like actually can be streamlined though. That thing's gonna start tumbling. It's gonna
Okay,
start trying
wait
to
a
like
second.
correct itself midair.
Mm.
Wait a second. Hang on. Texas horned lizard.
Yes, it's
Yes.
a horned frog is not
Okay,
a
'cause
frog.
there
It's a
is
lizard.
horned frog. Texas horned lizard weight. I
like
think
that you're-
think most people are getting one of these 15 yards. Oh no, whoa. 0.9 to 3.2 ounces. No, I think 15 yards is I think they're too small. I think they're too small to get 15 yards.
See, that's a good
think
line.
the-
All right,
I
there you
think
go.
the,
This is getting down the same alley of Bobby eating a real crow. Like we, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ty, go
Was
ahead and
it-
pick the
I
football
like
game.
The Cougars. I like the Cougars in this one. One thing that you guys did not mention, we mentioned the game being at BYU, but 9:15 p.m. Oh baby, give me the Cougars. It's up past their bedtime. They're not going to be drinking, but they're going to get like, you know how little kids when they stay up past their bedtime, they get a bunch of energy. They start zooming around. They're going to be sugar rushing off those Cougar tails. It's going to be electric in there. Go ahead and give me the BYU Cougars -4.5 against the TCU Horned Frogs. Maybe in the off season, we will throw a horned frog replica because I'm sure there's some sort of endangered species.
Are they
Um,
easy to find?
Yeah, they're definitely they're endangered, or they might have just gotten off the endangered list. But they used to be way more common, maybe like 50 years
Until
ago.
people find out how throwable they are. Then-
I do have a
That's
little
really-
like mini glass one, like it's about that big.
Oh, look at the
See, do
little
you think
guy.
Bobby could get that 15 yards?
Tom,
I think
so
so.
good friend of the pod, Tom Huber, sent me a text and says he gets a ton of horny lizards in his yards. Biggest one he's seen is 8 to 9 inches long, easy. Kachuk 15 easy.
Chuck. Okay, well there you go. Could chuck that.
Yeah, but
we could
he
chuck it.
I don't doubt that many could. It's can Bobby.
I mean, I could. I think
Yes,
it's
but
more
many,
of a.
many can dome a pickle as well. And
That is
not,
true.
So it's
I chose not to dome the pickle. Well, and then I
He
did
paid
attempt
the
to dome
price.
it.
Yeah, and then he paid the price, and then
Where's,
chose
Not
to.
good,
where's
yeah,
the
that's
FBI?
true.
This man was fixing games knowingly. He knew the consequences. This is game fixing.
All right, let's move on to our next pick. Moving on to our SEC slate, we've got the Florida Gators, who for some reason have made an appearance back on the slate, heading to Oxford to take on the Ole Miss Rebels, ranked 7th in the country, 9-1. Ole Miss favored by 14.5. You can find this one 6 p.m. Central on ESPN. A lot of drama in this one. Lane Kiffin You know, a lot of rumors about him going to Florida. I don't know. This should be interesting. Do we think Lane will try to lay it on him and prove to him that, you know, he should get that Florida job, or does he take it easy on him? Ty, what do you think?
Yeah, make no mistake about it. 14.5 points is a lot of points in halfway through November, because Ole Miss, like, what's your motive to continue to run up the score on this Florida team versus just preserving people? And Florida, you know, season over now. Ole Miss has a bunch more to look forward to. So that 14.5, as much as I know Ole Miss is capable of it, does worry me, but I'm going to go ahead and ride with the Rebs. Gator, you're not getting a Gator, a baby Gator, maybe 15, but you're not getting a Gator 15 yards. I'll tell you guys that right now.
Now, not well, yeah, obviously not a full one, but like a tiny one. You could like start doing like the sort of javelin, or not the javelin, but like a shot put, or that is true. No, what's the Olympic
like
word?
The cannonball.
Hammer throw.
Yeah, hammer throw. Yeah, the hammer throw.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might be able to hammer throw a Gator. You know, like Mario 64. You know how he throws Bowser.
I would still try to football a baby Gator. I don't think I would do a hammer throw. I think I'd football a baby Gator, or tomahawk it.
But if you're going 15,
get it by its snout so that it can't bite you. Tomahawk that shit.
I like Ole Miss here. I feel like Florida's dead in the water. They don't know what they're doing. They just got murdered by Kentucky. I kind of put it on here just because it was funny. We could talk about Lane Kiffin, because this slate kind of stinks overall. It's really, really top heavy, much like the Big Ten. You got a lot of really good stuff at the top, a lot of stank at the bottom, and this is kind of that stinky game in the slate. So Ole Miss covers 14.5 is my play.
Ty, you picked Ole Miss too?
Of course.
Blake, I don't know.
will not be supporting
the courage.
as much as I love the University of Florida. I cannot support them after they wronged Urban Meyer.
There's something inside of me screaming, do it.
It's an addicting feeling. It's an addicting feeling.
It doesn't count unless you do the chomp.
I pick Florida. I pick Florida.
Do it.
Go away.
Do the
chomp.
chomp.
I'm doing it. I'm going to pick Florida. Florida plus 14.5. Lane Kiffin lays it easy on him. DJ Lagway has a good game.
Do the chomp.
He's not. It's even starting.
Do the chomp.
Yeah, he's starting.
Oh, so they pulled him and then lost, and then we're like, oh, we're significantly worse without him. F around Florida and find out, I guess.
There we go.
Oh my god. I don't know if I can join you, Jameson. Like, I know even if DJ Lagway's playing, and I've been the guy that's been touting that defensive front for Florida all year long, that they got some dogs on there. 38 points, Jameson. 38 points from Kentucky. Kentucky is so dead in the water, which they're not on the slate, but I think there is a theory that once ESPN got removed from YouTube TV, Mark Stoops has turned into like the best coach in America, just like has started to roll teams. Like, he looked dead in the water, and now he's actually rattling off some wins, maybe getting frisky by the end of it. I think Lane Kiffin, if you're Jimmy Sexton, you're whispering in Lane Kiffin's ear, you run up that score. So even if you want to stay at Ole Miss, you're getting a bigger figure. If you beat Florida by 28 or 35 points, ooh, baby, that's some more zeros added to that contract. They'll want you even more. I think Ole Miss. It's Jameson. The team's too stinky.
I'm mulliganing. I can't do this.
You can't be on Gator Island.
I can't do this. I thought it'd be a funny bit, but then I have to cheer for Florida this game. I don't want to do it.
And you know that's not going to be a clean 14.5 cover if it is. It's like, if they do, it's the stinkiest ways that have to happen. Like, you've got to start rooting for, like, in a way, you kind of got to root for Ole Miss to get out to like a pretty big lead to start, so then the random stuff can start happening and Ole Miss doesn't panic. It's the path to victory is not there. I would have loved if you stayed on that island. But this is what happened. I felt so bad whenever I used my mulligan off of OU, and all the OU guys convinced me that they were going to get beat by Tennessee, and nothing felt
This
more
is
horrible
different,
than
Blake.
sitting that
This
game.
is
It just
so different. This is so
Florida's going to
different.
win outright now, aren't they?
See, the thing is, I wanted to do something fun.
4 Malort shots if that happens.
No,
If
screw it.
Florida-
Yeah, Malort
true.
shot
Florida wins
a
it.
round of Malort shots for the entire pod.
That's
If we,
fine.
if
You know
like
what? I'm not
we
using
have
my
to, we
mulligan.
have to commit.
You
You
outright
can't
Florida win.
unmulligan a
He
mulligan.
can.
No.
No, he can for this one. He can for this one. If you
Okay,
want to.
yeah, we'll keep him on Gator Island.
He
You know,
should have to. His mulligan should still be burned regardless.
no, we'll let
Nah.
it be. We'll let it be.
That's-
No, just because we have Jameson on Gator Island, let's stick it on that.
It is possible that Florida wins this one outright, and Kiffin flies home on the Florida team jet.
That would be.
He would pull some stuff like that.
Yeah, without a doubt. The
Believe in
reverse.
the Gators.
He got fired on a tarmac. This time he got hired on a tarmac.
Here's the
full
reality
circle.
of this, guys. Like we put in all this analysis, we do all these things, but like Vegas does a really damn good job. Even if it's 52-48 in favor of Ole Miss, screw it. It's going to be more fun being on the Florida side if it actually wins.
If you win it,
If-
it's legendary. You'll remember
Yeah.
it forever.
and I think we all three of us have to take the Malorts if Florida
I'm
wins
sorry,
outright.
If Florida puts up 48 points, we should all take a Malort shot regardless. 52 to
Yeah.
48
Yeah.
is your example there.
No, I'm
Jameson?
saying 52%, 48%, like
Oh,
the
okay, I
spread.
see
You
what
know,
you
Okay,
like, even if
yeah,
there's a
no, I was
little
gonna
bit of
say-
a juice on one
I
side.
was gonna say what
I thought
what
that
is
was
going
a
on
score
out there?
prediction.
No. I'm saying like Vegas sets their lines. They do a really damn good job of being pretty like close to it, you know. And so like we say like, oh, it's Ole Miss. Everyone picks Ole Miss, and we like sweep it. But at the same time, like it's still a good spread.
It started at 16 and a half,
Yeah,
so they've
yeah,
been
you're
they've
right.
been shifting towards the Gators.
Let's
Let's move. All right. Let's move on to our next SEC game. It's the Mississippi State Bulldogs, 5-5, heading to Columbia to take on the Missouri Tigers, 6-3. Mizzou favored by 7.5 at home. You'd find this one 6:45 p.m. Central on the SEC Network. The Tigers, of course, will play in Norman next week against OU. So, Ty, who do you like?
No,
I
wrong.
will be
It's-
telling
it's-
you
it's-
after
Like
the other three of you pick.
we spent an entire like segue talking about Jameson's mulligan. I apologize. I lost track. Blake, who do you like?
I don't like either of these teams. I don't know. Drew Zollers, me and Jameson kind of hyping him up a little bit last week, saying we like what we saw in that video. Bad. Bad. It's the rookie pitcher that goes out there and looks fine in a game because nobody's seen his stuff. But I guess the 5 plays on tape just woof. So I'm hoping they're saying they haven't ruled out Bo Prabula yet. I don't know. This Mississippi State team, I
He's
saw that first
doubtful in
drive.
the reports.
Yeah,
There, no one
okay, yeah,
plays
no,
off.
he's
of
not playing.
doubtful.
He's not playing. Dang it. Oh my god, this is such a stinky matchup. I don't care what the records say. This is such a bad matchup. I saw the first drive of Mississippi State and they looked untouchable last week. And then I saw the final score and things changed. Things changed up for them quickly. Mizzou? Question mark?
that what
I'll
you're
go with
picking?
Mizzou. I will go with Mizzou. I think the defense is a little bit better. I think the offenses are probably pretty comparable. So I don't know. But Mississippi State's playing for that bowl hard, and I think this is probably their best. Yeah, this is their best. Or I don't know, depending on how you feel against Ole Miss in a rivalry game, just like weird stuff happening. But this is kind of like their last chance to make a bowl. But I'll take this.
I kept a very close eye on that Missouri game last week because I was very curious of how my boy Matt Zollers would do. Man, you're right, Blake. Eye test was bad. It was really, really bad. And I'm not going to forget that. I'm not going to forget that at all. But there was something weird about that Missouri game. They were down 14-0 at halftime. And I looked at it and said, you know what? I think Missouri still has a chance in this, despite all of the ugliness that I saw. And I think 17-38, the good old Fetty Wap again. I don't think that was really conducive to
back
what
the
the whole
classics.
game was.
No more.
Yeah, Mississippi State, on the other hand, the way they ended that game, there was some garbage time that they did okay with, but there are some things that scare me. They pull Blake Shapen, and oh my God, Bobby's mic is on
Oh
the
no,
ground.
Bobby's done. They're executed.
He's fallen and he can't.
Oh no.
I'm gonna go.
It
I'm
looks
gonna go
like
with. I'm gonna go with Missouri because I want Bobby to talk right now while he's trying to fix his mic.
He faked a medical emergency to throw Jameson off.
I'm surprised nobody tried that, a heart attack or something.
Yeah,
he pulled Urban Meyer.
No, my phone is like mounted on top of my computer, and it took a tumble. That is the first time that's ever happened. I'm using the phone camera as the Look, I have really loved Mississippi State this season, as evidenced by my record picking them. I've hit on them more times than I have not. But that being said, last week was a disappointment. I know it was Georgia, but you talk about that optimism at the start. Oh, I was so optimistic. I was feeling great. I was like, I just hit gold again. They're going to keep it close, and disaster. I feel like Mississippi State isn't as good on the road. They did get a road win at Arkansas, but doesn't count. You know, this Arkansas team might be the worst in the SEC, honestly, especially with this Kentucky resurgence. I think Missouri has a little bit more left in the tank. I get Zollers looked bad. It was against Texas A&M, who is just awesome. So I'm going to go Missouri to cover 7.5. Don't feel thrilled about it. Don't feel great about it, but I think they got it. So give me Mizzou 7.5.
I hate this one either way because this is a game where on this slate, I feel like I can really connect with the talking points either way. And Mizzou, obviously, I think the much better team. 7.5 at home, I think, is a really solid line at night. In the active strip mine that is their stadium right now, I might remind everyone that a fourth of their stadium looks like it is an actual emerald mine or lithium mine to fuel electric vehicles.
More like a lithium.
Yeah, more like a lithium because that's doing more damage to the environment. But Mississippi State has been very solid. Like Bobby said, he has been a sort of a Mississippi State savant or Mississippi State knower believer when others were not, and smartly picked them in a lot of games. I think you were on an island actually picking them against Texas, were you not? Yeah, so Bobby knows what he's talking about when it comes to this Mississippi State team. And I could see, like, I see Mississippi State and I see a team that has been solid all year, that has fought against teams that they should have just been embarrassed by and you know, took Texas down to the wire and everything else. And I also see a team that is fighting for a bowl. And I think the Egg Bowl is must watch TV this year for sure, as it usually is. But the consequences in this are huge. And I would not shock me if Mississippi State ends the regular season with 7 wins. But it also wouldn't shock me if they were in the regular season with 5 wins. I don't know. I'm thinking I should go.
You wouldn't be shocked if they beat Missouri and Ole Miss.
No, I don't think that's like ridiculously implausible because Missouri, like, I think already look ahead. Like, you're looking ahead at OU. Like, it would not be crazy to me if the Mississippi State team that came out and faced like Texas shows up to this Missouri game and Missouri shows up with one of their bottom 3-4 performances of the year. Mississippi State wins that game. And the Egg Bowl, like, is the Egg Bowl, anything can happen. So it's improbable. It's like 5% chance or less that happens, but it wouldn't shock me if it did. All that being said, I'll go ahead and take the Bulldogs as the underdogs in this one. Go ahead and give me Mississippi State plus 7.5 going into were they in St. Louis where Mizzou is?
Columbia. Anyways, let's move on. Let's move on to our next game.
That was a genuine question.
That is fair. Let's move on to our next game. It is a massive one in the SEC. It's the 10th ranked Texas Longhorns, 7-2, fighting for their playoff lives, heading to Athens to take on the Georgia Bulldogs, ranked 5th in the country, 8-1 on the season. Georgia, a 5.5-point favorite at home. You can find this one 6:30 p.m. Central on ABC. Ty, what do you think on this game?
Go ahead and give me those keys. I hear those car keys ring ding dingling. Give me the Bulldogs to run over the Longhorns in this one. I think 5.5 at Georgia. I understand Texas has a lot to play for here, but whew, the Texas obviously looked great against OU. But if this Georgia team does what they do, they're getting into the late season when they really start firing. I think 5.5 at home in Athens, Georgia, not Greece, Georgia, the state, not the country. Give me the Bulldogs.
Speaking of jingling keys, I feel like that's Texas anytime they do something moderately decent in college football. And that's just like, they're just like, ooh, look, we beat Vanderbilt at home. And everyone's like, oh, they're a playoff team. They're great. They're terrific. And forget everything bad that they have done the entire season. They forget about the putrid Florida loss. They forget about how awful they looked against Mississippi State, how awful they looked against Kentucky, how they should have lost to both of those teams. And they forget about, oh, yeah, we had that Vanderbilt game at home in the bag and then almost blew it. So no, I'm not impressed with Texas one bit. 7-2, that's fine. They've been dealt one of the lighter schedules in college football, and I feel like they're about to run into a brick wall against a Georgia team that has had their number the past two meetings. They looked great. They scrapped in with a backup Gunnar Stockton in the SEC title, and then just flat out humbled them in Austin last year in the regular season. I love Georgia minus 5.5. I'm not trying to be overconfident here, but I feel like this Texas hype train ends right here in Athens.
Well, I'm going to go on the Texas hype train. I'm going to pick Texas to cover this spread. I've been kind of looking for an excuse to kind of come after Georgia against the spread. And as a defense, I've just been not as content watching them as I had in the past. And I think everyone around as a college football fan can say that too. Mississippi State really didn't give us the opportunity, despite the first drive, to really kind of dive in and say like, oh man, this defense I'm really worried about. I think Texas's offense is starting to put things together a little bit more right now. I think this is going to be a fun back and forth game, a good classic, wonderful college football matchup. And I think it's close. I think Texas could still lose, still cover the spread. I think we get a really fun game. So give me Texas plus the points.
Yeah, the striking thing to me, I guess, with Georgia has been, one, the defense just hasn't been there. It's been all right, but not its elite usual self, which has allowed some games for them just to not really separate. And then second is the few good defenses they've played, I've kind of been unimpressed. It's like played Bama at home, lost outright, played Florida on like a neutral site, still couldn't. I know it's a rivalry game, but couldn't separate. Auburn was kind of able to limit it. And I think Texas has that elite defense, and I really liked what I've seen from Arch the last few weeks. It finally feels like he's coming into his own. He's making good plays. The New York Times article that said he was the biggest bust in college football ever is now looking like just a complete sham. I think he's improving. I like him a lot more than Gunnar Stockton, to say the least. So I think Texas on the road keeps it close, if not upsets them. This Georgia team haven't been able to nail them down. They're just not a consistent threat like they were maybe like Kirby Smart 3-4 years ago.
All right, we're split on that one. Let's move on to, in my opinion, the biggest game of the week. It's the 11th ranked Oklahoma Sooners, 7-2 overall, heading to Tuscaloosa to take on the Alabama Crimson Tide, ranked 4th in the country. Bama, a 5.5 point favorite. You can find this one 2:30 p.m. Central on ABC. Blake, who do you like here?
Bama. Love Bama. They are. That first loss gave them a bad rap, but this team has really, I think, turned it around. They play, I wouldn't say they're one of those dominant teams where they're going to really blow you out, but they just seem to, every game they're in, maybe besides that South Carolina one, just control it. Ty Simpson just looks like a complete pro. I'm a little unsure what, I don't know what to get from OU on the road. Even like this late into the season, like I thought OU was screwed on the road, and then they went into Tennessee, wins outright, but I don't know what I think about Tennessee anymore. Basically, just the top of the SEC just has my mind jumbled. I can't really tell. They're all probably about around the same caliber of team, and I should just accept that the week-to-week results are going to vary, but I think Bama's defense good this year. I think Bama's offense, I think, way better than OU's offense. So this one's just an easy one for me. Less than a touchdown. I'm taking Bama.
Yeah, I think that we talked a lot about this on the Schooner Pod on Monday, but just kind of echo some of my talking points. You look at the matchup of saying, can Oklahoma score enough points to win this game? And yeah, but they're going to need a lot of help from their defense, kind of like what they got in the Tennessee game. And I think if you look at Tennessee, going to on the road, it's hard to control the narrative and win the turnover battle. But whenever you have a quarterback like Joey Aguilar, he can go out there and throw interceptions kind of in the same light. I view him very similar to that of Josh Hoover, Blake. You know, they could both go out there and make big time plays, look really damn good. Then all of a sudden they'll make boneheaded throws for a whole quarter. And you're like, what the hell happened? That is not the case of Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson is sound. He's composed. He knows when to run. He knows when to get to one of the best wide receiving cores in college football. He's only thrown one interception the whole year. And I think if this Oklahoma defense doesn't get big plays, without turning the ball over, like big sacks and whatnot, I don't think there's a really big chance to say we can get 2 or 3 turnovers and win this game and cover the spread. I think Alabama could chip away and really hurt us here. I think a lot of it also depends on our Mason Thomas and his availability. Even if he goes out there and plays, you know that this guy's questionable and he has a hamstring injury, and a guy who's known for speed and explosiveness off the edge. If you don't have that hamstring strong, I don't know if he's going to be truly 100% in this game, even though it's had 2 weeks of rest. That really does concern me in this, to where I feel like a lot of game breakers that could actually win us this football game on the defensive end, we don't have the head of the snake in our Mason Thomas at full 100% health. Someone's going to have an absolutely stellar game, and we're going to remember their name for the rest of time for it. I can't close my eyes and see that right now for this Oklahoma team, unfortunately. So I'm going to go Alabama to cover the spread.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really intriguing game, and I think Oklahoma can win it. I think there is a world where this happens. We saw it last time out in Neyland that OU can handle the pressure and get a big win on the road, but a lot of things will need to happen. You got to win the turnover battle, which is exceedingly hard to do against an Alabama team that takes great care of the ball, and a quarterback in Ty Simpson who is just beyond sharp. He's excellent. And you got to limit big plays, which I feel like Alabama, can generate a ton of, especially at home. This is a really tough position for OU to have to go in a must-win situation. I think that plays to their edge a little bit, that they really, really need this one in a way that Alabama kind of doesn't. Not to say that they're not, Alabama's not going to be interested in this, but this is not a back against the wall situation for the Tide by any means. OU is going to have to play exceptional. They're going to have to play their best game of the season, fire on all cylinders, and I just don't know if they can, right? And I don't know if they will. I think the Crimson Tide get the cover here. I think it's going to be close. I don't feel overly confident in the Alabama 5.5, because I could absolutely see a world where OU pulls off the unthinkable and wins this game. There's just going to have to be a lot to have it happen. And I think it's doable. I think the offense has to be very run heavy with not only Xavier Robinson, but John Mateer get a little bit of that quarterback run action back, something that's hurt Alabama throughout this year so far. But ultimately, it's going to come down to, can you have Alabama make mistakes on offense? And that's just something we haven't seen much of at all this year. So OU is going to have to be exceptional. But as far as it goes with picking, I got to go with the Tide 5.5.
Look, it's college football any given Saturday, right? And like we've talked about, and like anyone who's ever seriously looked at even just counting their picks, if not full on gambling, knows how well Vegas does at setting these lines week over week. Obviously, there's always going to be the blowouts, but 5.5, they seem to believe that this OU team is much closer to this Alabama team than many people would believe. Because again, this is 5.5 at home for Alabama. And I think there's some things baked into that. I think OU really good performance against Tennessee. I think OU having a lot of stuff that was a preseason and early season point of contention or point where we were falling short is now seemingly improved. Things like the run game, things like turnovers, things like capitalizing on turnovers in the past couple weeks have really been improved upon. So I can absolutely see how an impartial observer would consider this OU team to be taking steps forward still, which they absolutely are. Alabama has looked really solid, though, and you can make arguments about different statistical categories as to whether or not they've played within those specific categories a team at the level of OU. But to me, I just feel like OU's win in this game last year is doing us some favors here. I feel like OU's performances are doing us some favors here, and I if I were to put money on any of these games, Alabama 5.5 is looking like a pretty close to a lock to me. I hate to say it. I wish I could be the one person that comes on here and rides with OU, but I am tied right now for Bobby at the tail end of the wagon, so I cannot be playing around here. And I just feel like the tide. And look, I was the only person all year, starting week 1, starting preseason last year, I was telling you guys that OU was going to beat Alabama because the only team in the SEC that had a worse coach last year was Alabama. And that happened. That was true. I have my finger on the pulse of this game. And I can tell you guys say it with me, Jameson. Well, he's not going to say it with me because he doesn't know what I'm going to say. But I can tell you the BP over Palp of this game because I'm feeling it. I have my finger on the pulse. And it's fading. So go ahead and give me the Tide minus 5.5 in this one, begrudgingly.
What did you say? The BP over Palp?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to talk about this.
I do want to say about the game, though. Just talking about
That's
the
probably
game.
not a term in clinical medicine, but
I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. You cannot palpate a blood pressure.
I'll explain after. It's
okay. I don't understand.
Ty did his own research, Jameson.
Oh God.
No, they in like combat triage they teach.
I'm looking it up right now.
And you check like 4 different pulse points if someone is like fading or expectant, and you can get a tentative like minimum BP based on like the farthest away from the heart that you're getting a pulse, basically.
I understand what this is now. Okay.
There's probably a more technical term than what they teach to junior Marines. But
fair. Yeah. But I will say, I think OU can win this game. I know it's a sweep for Alabama. Nobody's overly optimistic about it, but, it's one of those things that, Sooner magic typically, shows up when you least expect it. Sure as hell showed up in Knoxville. And if they can string these 2 wins together, it'll be some of the most impressive stuff we've seen OU do since 2000. So let's hope we're all wrong. But anyways, time for our favorite pick of the week.
Why aren't the brakes working? Because I cut the brakes! Wild card, bitches! Yeah! What? Oh, guys, I can't stop this man!
It's time for our wild card picks where we make our favorite pick from outside of the slate. Let's kick this thing off. Ty, I'm just going to say it, by the way. The unthinkable has happened. I am no longer in last place of the wild card standings.
That's good.
That is insane. I started, 0 for 5? 0 for 6? I don't know. But I have crawled back from the depths of hell and have eked my way out to 3rd place. So shout out to... Yeah, and I kind of did it in a brutal way, and I feel bad about doing it because I faded our midshipman. I faded Navy, and went with Notre Dame of all people. So it felt a little dirty, but I feel good being not last anymore.
That's not why you've clawed back. I might point out that Bobby engineers the slate every week, and he knows that I'm just looking to pick USC as the wild card, and he keeps putting them on the main slate and then I don't know what the heck to do when I don't see USC available as a wild card. So
It's
I
not
end up
like you-
picking, like I picked Air Force like 6 weeks in a row or something, which accounts for like at least 5 of my losses legitimately. I think maybe 6, and then one of them is picking OU. So I do have an atrocious record, but it was really just 2 actions. But speaking of my stinky record, I have a stinky game to pick. I wanted to pick the stinkiest of games. And in years past, I would have picked just the biggest Power 5 line I could, which I think, well, P5 versus P5, which I think is Ohio State like 35.5 over UCLA. Maybe it's 32.
No. We've got a 40+ game this week. I saw it earlier.
That's
It
P5
was-
versus P5, though.
Oh, you're right. Okay, sorry. I wasn't listening.
Yes. Well, I should have been more specific, but there's something stinkier than that at 5.5. 2 fired coaches within the SEC, 2 stanky teams, but one is a stanky team full of 4 and 5 stars, and one is a stanky team full of people that will, and I'm not diminishing this. This is a great, if you want to live in Arkansas, this is great, but a stanky team full of people who are going to have great careers at Walmart corporate. And that is Arkansas versus LSU. LSU only 5.5 points. I don't care who's coaching either of these teams. The talent on that LSU team, and you're getting Arkansas coming into Death Valley. They are playing at like 10 a.m. Well, I guess like noon local for them, but absolutely give me LSU 5.5. Like the players are not fired. The players are still there. They're still playing for, spots on future rosters. They're still playing for NFL records and everything else. 5.5 points for the talent that LSU has. Absolutely give me them Tigers.
Okay, so talk about stinky here. I'm gonna go take a trip. Take a trip to some old friends out in the Mountain West here. There is a game.
You can't pick TCU. They were on the main slate.
Don't do it, Bobby. If this is the game that I think you're gonna do, don't do it.
No. It might be. I don't know. So New Mexico. I made a pick on them earlier this year. It didn't go well. They've given me success at other points. And I've turned a blind eye to them, but I took a peek back at how the Lobos were doing, and they've been doing well. But more importantly, the Colorado State Rams are atrocious. They have lost their past 2 games by a combined score of 70-10. They are absolutely reeling. They only have 2 wins. One of them is against the Northern Colorado Bears. So NOCO, which I didn't even realize had a football team, Blake. So one of their 2 wins is NOCO, and they squeaked it out 21-17. They also beat Fresno, which is really weird. UNM 14.5. That's my play on this one. Or not. Yeah. So New Mexico, they've been rolling. I think they just take care of business at home. Get the job done. So New Mexico 14.5. That's my play.
It's a shame that I can't bring surprise to as many people here, but I'm about to do something here. You guys have seen me adopt a new team this year in South Florida, and I've loved them. I've loved them so much, and it makes you forget about your exes. It really does. And then you're, perusing through and you're starting to scroll, and all of a sudden you see your ex and they're not doing too good anymore. And you're like,
horrendous
for them. Sucks for them. I'm really glad I've got South Florida in my pocket. Now I feel like I'm in a really good place. You're thinking about how could I capitalize off this? You look into it a little bit more. And Texas State Bobcats ended their last game losing as a favorite to Louisiana and had a brawl at the end of the game and had multiple suspensions placed on them at the end of the game.
Was a trident thrown?
I don't know. Now, the old me would say, hell yeah, Bobcats. This is great for team vibes. The new me says, this is bad. And Texas State, at the beginning of the season, made me think maybe they could go around. They had won 2 of their first 3 games. Now they've only won 1 game since then. And they've not looked good. And that defense is bad. They're playing Southern Miss, going on the road as a 3.5-point dog. So Southern Miss 3.5-point favorite. I'm fading Boko. I'm fading Texas State. Ty, you sent in the chat 2 minutes before, and I said, this man is a
my
prophet.
alternate. Yeah. Southern
This
Miss to
is-
the top, baby.
This is
That's,
it. The vibes. You just had a brawl and suspensions, and you're losing a bunch, and the defense can't play. And that offense, they lost so many of their big time weapons last year. Like they're just like a skeleton of a team what they were last year, and it's really a shame. Southern Miss is gonna roll, and it's gonna be ugly. Give me Southern Miss 3.5 points.
Yeah. USM is a great game day environment, by the way. There's I don't know why anyone would ever be in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, but it's a great game day experience.
So I love how we're going with like a little bit of bully ball picks this week. So I'm going with my own, a team that I'm hoping, because they won last week, kind of brings the line down. We're talking Delaware going on the road to Sam Houston State.
I thought about that.
-9. Okay, Sam Houston State won last week versus Oregon State, and you'd be like, wow, Oregon State's bad. Sam Houston State's bad. What's insane is that if you look at that, let me pull up the final box score. This is just ridiculous.
Yeah, their quarterback had what, 30 yards?
Yes. 157 total yards by Sam Houston State, and they won by 4. And Oregon State had 475 total yards. Oregon State outgained them by close to over 300 yards and still somehow lost this game. This Sam Houston State team, very, very stinky. Very, very, very stinky. They had some good things go their way, and that's how they ended up winning. But on a down-to-down basis, I should have looked at the success rate graphic this week. They are probably low. I'm not saying Oregon State is high, but this Sam Houston State team's bad. 9 points seems easy. Give it to me. That's just bully ball.
Is that the first time someone has picked the Blue Hens on the podcast?
It's got to be.
It might be. Yep.
What about Tulsa being an underdog at home versus Oregon State this weekend? What are your thoughts on that?
I got my finger on the pot of greed button if anyone wants to dive on in.
Is Oregon State the school that's been doing so poorly that someone said that they fired their interim head coach and people believed it?
Yes, it was the most obvious.
Wait, that actually didn't happen?
No,
Bobby, no.
It was literally like CUSA Centel or something. It was like Centel USA or something that posted that.
Well, whoops. I mean, who cares about what happens in Port Dallas?
People
I care because I think it's really sad that they're at this point.
Yeah.
I know they were a legitimate team for a few years.
And you know what they did? You know what they did? I warned them. They signed DJU.
Another thing, I think another substantial event that happened to them outside of DJU that got them to this point.
Okay, yes. Oh, the second domino fell when the first domino touched it.
The domino of being kicked out of a Power 5 conference and being stuck on your own weird little island with Washington State.
Why did Florida State
really
not get called to the SEC? Why is Clemson doing so poorly now? It's all connected. You guys are going to realize.
I mean,
not your worst theory. Really,
you actually do have a point. He does just provide DJU does just provide the touch of death wherever he went. So
he's on the Los Angeles Chargers practice team right now.
Have we? Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, no.
Have we checked Dr. Pepper stock since he appeared in the ads back in the old Fansville days? So,
Dr. Pepper has so much other positive aura though that it cancels out.
It got canceled out by the boss. So
they got Jerry Jones.
Yeah,
maybe negative, but
all right. No pot of greeds.
Bobby, I can't take it with me, so hit the music.
Yes.
Ooh. You never saw this coming. I summoned pot of greed.
there's one thing I feel like we stand for on this podcast. It's honor, it's loyalty, it's taking programs that might not necessarily have been there and taking them to the top. And we have one guy on this podcast that is absolutely abandoning his first love in Jameson, Maxwell, and Boko. And I am not. I am going to son you, little boy. I am going to be your daddy come Saturday. I'm taking Boko to the promised land. Something you have never been able to do, small man. I know they've lost so many, but what I have done to UNLV and brought the notoriety, gotten Dan Mullen a legitimate head coach there, have them rolled in the Mountain West, I can do to your little small team. One you just had to abandon. You had to go elsewhere because you couldn't get them there. I will get them there. I'm taking that plus 3.5. I don't care if they haven't won a Sun Belt game yet. This Jameson abandoning them is the perfect sign. I don't need stats. I just know that we have tried and true traditions here. We stick by our teams, our random little small teams that we latch on to. Jameson has just broken the cardinal rule and just completely abandoned his. So,
Oh my God.
That's a shame.
That's got to be
That's a real shame.
That's
What a
got to be
shame.
worth a Malort. That's this.
let's do it.
This matchup is.
That-
gotta be
Let's
yeah.
do it. If you don't stand, if you are like Jameson and just don't stand by your people, you gotta, as a bystander, I have to stand up. I have to do something. I have to do something about it. So
I've
I
moved
am-
on, Blake. I am very mature
I
about
have.
this.
I know.
I found
You
a new
left-
love.
You left this child. You left this child in a dumpster, and I am now coming to raise it. And actually,
You
if
abandoned
they
your
come-
child? You abandoned my boy?
Jameson sold.
Blake
I
is-
took a team
Blake's
that was
literally
winning.
hitting you with. I found the crown of San Marcos in a gutter.
It is insane. We had some ups and downs in the desert, but I stuck with it. We had some like 2 lost seasons. We had Marcus Arroyo as our head coach, and it was bad. And I still kept churning. I still kept my foot on the gas and just kept it going. It took a long time. It took a long time to get there, but look how it has paid off. A team that actually has some juice behind it. It's a team that can hire Dan Mullen as a coach, and Jameson has one kind of disappointing season and immediately just throws him in a dumpster and is onto the USF bandwagon.
You didn't have to spit on them on your way out, too. Like, you didn't have to go back to their grave and then spit on them, Jameson. Like, I think that's where it went wrong.
Yeah.
'Cause I can get being like,
I
okay, they're
believe
not
it.
good. I don't need to pick them anymore. That's fine. You didn't have to go out of their way when they're at their lowest to just dance on their grave.
I'm really going to enjoy this game. This is now must-watch football.
ESPN
Yes.
Plus, baby, I bet. I bet it's on ESPN Plus.
Oh my God! What is
Not
it
like
on?
there's not any other game I'm going to be glued to on at the same time slot because that's a 3:30 kick.
Well, that's why you have 3 TVs, Jameson.
You're damn right.
There we go.
You're
I feel like
dadgum
it's.
right.
I feel like it's one of those games that you can only find on like someone's like Discord, like it's just
ESPN
Discord voice chat or something.
ESPN Plus at 4 p.m. It's a 4 p.m. kickoff.
Oh, perfect.
Yuck. Oh,
Perfect.
that's incredible. That's incredible. Incredible. I mean, just wait. No, I don't have that right. Sorry, that's the UL Monroe game next week.
It's 3:30.
I mixed up.
3:30
Sorry.
Eastern time. Sorry.
There you go. Let's talk a little bit about week 13 of the slate, the penultimate week of the regular season. Couple notable games. Obviously, OU Missouri. We kind of talked about that a little bit. Got Hawaii UNLV. Blake, any takers? That should be interesting. USC Oregon will be interesting. BYU Cincy, somewhat of a play-in for the Big 12 championship if Cincinnati takes care of business. Pittsburgh, Georgia Tech should be interesting for the ACC. And
Not great games,
I mean,
but a lot of eliminators, a lot of stakes. A lot of like
Yeah,
process
consequential
games.
Consequential
Yeah.
games. Yeah.
Yeah, games that matter. Yeah, games that matter in the whole scale of things. But like the SEC is kind of on there, like everyone plays a cupcake week, including OU, maybe. With Missouri. Ba-bump-sh. I don't know. Look, after that first Tennessee weekend, nothing will ever rival that. I'm just chasing that adrenaline of having my notifications blow up, and I just never gonna happen again, which is fine.
Well, it could
But yeah.
happen if we brought Urban home. It would happen every week, but
Now that, look, one of the things that kind of, I don't want to say blew our podcast up. We're not exactly particularly big, but we were certainly a lot smaller before the Brent Venables deal. If Urban switched, yeah, I mean, that would be crazy. But I do not want that to happen because I feel like that'd be a disaster. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you back on Sunday to talk about OU Alabama on the Scooter Pod. We'll be back next Wednesday to discuss our Week 13 slate. But until then, have a great weekend. Good luck out there. And Boomer Sooner, everybody.